To supplement the reloading article, I figured a set of demonstration videos would be in order. Today I'd like to demonstrate the reloader. This is probably the cheapest and simplest way to get started reloading. All you need is cases fired out of your rifle and you can start the process. So stick with me and we'll start the demonstration. Alright, today we're going to be loading for the 270 Winchester using the reloader. Now this is advertised as being everything you need to begin loading for one caliber. However, no disrespect for Lee, but I think you need to buy more of his fine products. Like you see here, this is the cutter and the lock stud. These are used to trim cases to length. These are sold as a package. This is the case length gauge in the lock ring. These are caliber specific and they are sold as a package. This is a primer pocket cleaner. This is sold individually. And then the deburring tool, and this is sold individually. Alright, we'll take the instructions, set them aside for a quick reference. Now we're just going to identify the tools. This is the body, this is what we size in. We just tap the case into there. This is the primer seater and the bullet seater. This is what we use to knock out spent primers, this and this pin. And this is what we used to seat primers. And this is a dipper for the powder. Alright, first thing we need to do is knock out the spent primer. Instructions say use a mallet, but I got an old broken hammer handle, works just fine for me. Alright. Now that we knocked out the primer, we want to clean the pocket. This removes all the fouling from the previous shot and allows the next primer to seat uniformly and all the way to the bottom. Next, we want to check it for overall length. Now this case length gauge has the trim length built right in, so you don't need a set of calipers. If it cuts, it needed to be cut, and if it don't cut, it didn't stretch far enough. Oops, there we go. Just simple. Now you notice there's a hex on there. You could set this up in your drill press or your hand drill. Find the flash hole, and that didn't cut very much, so we didn't stretch that bad. Now we deburr. Don't want to create a sharp edge, just enough to knock the burr off. Alright, now that was the minimum in case preparation. We give it an overall inspection, we look, and it appears to be in good shape. So now, set it in the body of the die, and we tap it flush. Alright. Now that it's tapped flush, we get our safety glasses because we're going to be handling primers now. Now, a clean and organized workspace is the key to everything, and as you can see here, you don't even need a whole lot of space. Now, I usually use the lid of that, get a couple of primers out. It just helps to work so much neater that way. Now we grab a primer, we put it in the primer seater, alright, and we seat the primer using this tool. You don't want to use this one that decaps it and knocks the primer out. Use the flat one and light taps. Now you can even hear when that thing started, on this metal table you can even hear when that primer went flush. Alright, we give it an inspection. It shouldn't be raised, it's flat. Set the primer seater aside, and now we knock the case out. Okay, we're ready for powder. So take a look at the instructions. We're using 130 grain Hornady, 130 grain bullet with IMR 4350. We used the 3.4 dippers supplied. This is a dipper can, tuna can with a small coffee lid. It works great. Reloading doesn't have to be expensive. Now we want to pour a nice full head of powder for consistent dips. Alright. And try to use the best and most consistent technique you can. When that's done, scrape it clean with the NRA card. Alright, now that gives a very consistent powder charge. And then carefully dump it into the case. A powder funnel aids the process for sure. Alright, now that we're done with the powder charge, we go to seating the bullet. Now you notice that this bullet has a channular groove, and I'm not sure if this bullet seater is adjusted, if the die is adjusted to this particular bullet. But we'll find out. Here again, just light taps, light taps. Alright, now we're just going to inspect it, the overall case so far. We just barely got it going in there. It looks like we're definitely going to have to adjust the die. Now you can hear when that seats down and starts tapping on the table. That's one. Okay, we still got to go a little bit further. So what we want to do is thread the die down, reduce the length, and just go little increments at a time. Almost there. This time I'm going to be just a little bit more bold. We went about 3 turns. We'll go about 4, 5 turns. There we go. And one more time. Alright, now we're down to the channular groove, and we have a completed round of 270 with a 130 grain bullet, an IMR 4350 with the CCI primer, and we take it out to the range tomorrow and see what she does.